Hello everyone, watch this review here where they look at Trigon the Terrible, the Collect and Connect from Wave 13 of the DC Universe Classics line, which was a kind of heavy Teen Titans themed wave. Trigon, of course, being a central character in the Teen Titans mythology, or specifically the new Teen Titans mythology. Raven basically got the whole band together so she could, I guess, beat up her dad. And by the way, he's probably called Trigon the Terrible because he is a deadbeat dad. Apparently he's got tons of half-demonic children across the world. And I bet you that he doesn't pay child support to even one of them. But the figure is a little bit under 10 inches tall up to the top of his cape area here. For a little size comparison, here's the Wave 6 Superman. So he is huge, tremendously so. I believe it's the same body mold as Apache Chief, but I haven't finished my Apache Chief to compare. I do know that the torso pieces were kind of similar between this Apache Chief and even Bane, which is kind of weird. I don't know, but I mean obviously they tossed a little strap here for additional sculpting. I mean, the sort of comparisons between things of vastly different height are interesting, especially because Bane is a significantly shorter character, which I think they did mostly by giving him smaller legs. Now, unfortunately, not as much articulation on him as there was on Bane. I remember Bane having a ton of points. This is more basic DC Universe Classics articulation. In terms of detail, it's kind of hard to see because he's huge. Well, not huge by standards of the line, but still pretty significant. Mostly solid colors. You will notice that he has a sort of, I guess, silverish wash or a glittery appearance on the bands on his arm, as well as the staff, which mine's kind of bent here. And I didn't take really good care of this one. And then, of course, he actually does have a little bit of painting here at the upper part of his cape. The cape itself is cloth, which I'm not really fond of, but it does kind of make for an interesting display. I just wish it was a lot longer because he can't even really grip it in one hand without the whole thing sort of coming off the other end. And when you have capes, they should be ginormous. They should really flow. Otherwise, what's the point of having a cape, am I right? But you can kind of pose him clutching the cape. He only seems to be able to hold the staff in the left hand, which does kind of make sense because left hand, something to do with the word sinister in Greek, and sinister with evil connotations. Not that left-handed people are actually evil, although that was widely believed for a good while. And if you actually grew up in like a Catholic school, this is actually a true story that I've heard. Or it's a story that I've heard that might be true. Nuns would actually hit your hand with a ruler if you were left-handed, so you'd have to learn how to do stuff right-handed. It's totally nuts. Now, as you'll notice, his loincloth is in fact just plastic, so I guess in some ways it's sort of inconsistent where you have a cloth cape and then you have a plastic loincloth, but again, I'd much rather have plastic because cloth kind of wears with time. It will get damaged a lot easier, and it does stain. And I have a tendency to spill stuff, so that's half the reason why I don't display them near any place where I drink, eat, or I guess do anything else. Oh, also you'll notice this cool little skull here, right around his band. That's also got the same sort of shiny silver paint, but more importantly it has the same sort of 4 eyes that he has on his head, so maybe he's wearing one of his children's heads on his belt or something. So yeah, kind of crazy thought. I don't remember enough about this character to really know what the story is on that. The loincloth continues across the back here. You will notice that the cape sort of clips into his back. I believe it came as a separate piece originally to sort of plug it in, but I can't recall. I've had this figure for quite a while now. But yeah, I was really excited when I heard that they were going to be doing Trigon, and I actually saw the figure, got it in hand. And it's just not a terribly impressive figure. For one thing, if you look at the head, I don't know. I mean, yes, his mouth is open and everything, but he's not actually expressing any emotion. It's just his mouth is open, that's all. I mean, maybe a smile, maybe a sneer, maybe a growl. You know, something a little bit cooler than this, because, I don't know, it's kind of meh. Otherwise, you know, it's a good enough rendition. In terms of articulation, he has that sort of rod thing in the head where he's got like one ball part here, one ball part up here, so we can get some forward back motion, full rotation. You know, a bit wider range than you typically get on a lot of DC Universe Classics figures, and because his hair is a softer rubbery plastic, it can go back a little bit further. A standard ball joint, point of rotation at bicep, single pin at the elbow, point of rotation at wrist. By the way, I absolutely hate how they did the wrists here, where his hands are sort of angled inward. It just looks kind of funky, especially on the one that's holding the staff, because he can't hold his staff straight out, which sounds weird, but let's ignore the potential innuendo there. We have an ab crunch, point of rotation at the waist, the usual sort of leg joint. He can kick out and forward, but his leg will move a little bit because you've got the tunic loincloth thing in the way. Point of rotation above the knee, single pin joint at the knee itself. I think that might actually be the first time I've broken in this joint. But yeah, I've had this figure for, what's it been, like over a year? No. He looks cool standing. You don't really ever pose him doing other stuff. Then, of course, single pin here at the ankle with a tiny bit of pivot, mostly on the left foot, not so much on the right. So, yeah, not a terribly impressive figure, but it's a decent representation of the character, and I can't recall how many other versions and companies have done a figure of Trigon so far, so it very well might be the best one out there. But yeah, I guess he's decent enough. I also don't like the fact that his face looks like it's a different red than the rest of the body. It's kind of weird. But yeah, this has been a look at Trigon from DC Universe Classics Wave 13. Until next time, folks.